Oh, Jordan, I'm so excited that you're finally back from summer camp.
I know, me too.
Were you a camper or a counselor?
Not a camper.
But don't you hate the outdoors and children? And also, not only do you clearly hate everything camp stand for, but doesn't that also mean you're making absolutely no money?
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Well, it's your lucky day. Because I thought of a money-making scheme no one has ever thought of. We take classic, beloved animated Disney films, and we turn them into live-action remakes.
Ooh, I like this plan. Which one should we do first?
How about The Jungle Book?
No, it's already been done.
How about Cinderella?
Nope.
Oh, right. How about The Lion King?
No.
What about Beauty and the Beast?
No.
What about Dumbo?
No.
Okay, if all of the, maybe like a spin-off off that villain from Sleeping Beauty?
Maleficent?
Yeah.
The sequel is coming out this year. Lilo and Stitch?
And that's possible.
Mulan?
Well, yeah, that's in the works.
Okay.
I bet the Song of the South isn't in the works yet. Yeah, there's probably not much money there. I don't know.
We could do live action Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
You know, that's an idea. That's an idea. Or I was thinking we could remake WALL-E starring Kevin James.
Who would Kevin James play?
He would play, the fat guy, probably.
Or he could play every character. He could play Wally, Eve, all the fat people. It'd be like Tom Hanks in The Polar Express.
We could do that one, too.
Ooh.
But, I don't know, maybe we should actually, go see one of these movies before we make our own.
You know, it's unfair to judge them without having seen any of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's do that first.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go. So, today we are here to discuss the 2019 Aladdin remake.
Yes. I was not planning to see this movie.
Nor was I.
I was dragged into it by friends who were invested in seeing it, and I was invested in
Having
some air
friends?
conditioning.
My situation is sort of similar. In fact, I told my friend that seeing this movie would ruin my childhood. And then they bought me a ticket to go see this movie immediately after I said that.
Sounds like you have a good friend.
No.
I've seen the Cinderella remake,
Okay.
and it wasn't bad. Cinderella's already such a classic story that rebooting it doesn't feel forced and unnatural. It just feels like another interpretation of this classic story.
Okay.
Whereas Aladdin is a bit more specific, and I was worried about how that would go down because what I have seen of the Beauty and the Beast remake is questionable at best. Blake told all I knew about this movie going in was that Blake thought that it suffered from the beginning.
Yes, so I was watching it, and as I walked into the theater, I was thinking, I really want to hate this movie. I really want to dislike this, so I can rip it to shreds. And then I sat down in the seat, and the little Disney logo came on, and I am shocked to say this, but I felt happy. Because the Disney made me happy, and it was still Aladdin, which is my second favorite Disney movie. And I all of a sudden I was getting happy, and then I heard Will Smith's voice.
Will Smith is on a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that he's the genie, and he's not blue, which I was expecting to see.
Mm-hmm. He was just normal Will Smith
Uh-huh.
on a boat
Yeah.
with Winston's girlfriend from
One of the people in my
New Girl.
party did point that out halfway through.
and they're talking to some children,
Uh-huh.
and I'm already cringing a large amount.
Here we see the difference in how Blake approached this movie and how I approached this movie. I am a cynical hater. So I was dragged to this movie by the lure of air conditioning and friendship at 10 o'clock at night, which I've decided is the best time to see movies because we were the only ones in the theater. I was ready to sit down and turn my brain off. And I decided, as soon as I saw Will Smith, that he was not going to be as bad as Blake said he was.
Wait, was this when you saw him?
This is the first time I saw Will Smith.
Did that change the
I
first
heard
time you
Will
heard
Smith
him
sing.
sing?
and I didn't hate it.
Okay, my qualm with Will Smith in the opening number of Arabian Nights was whenever he went, like, into his head voice, it would work. And whenever he left into his bass voice, it would work. But I felt like 80% of the song he was singing in the switch between his head and bass voices.
Didn't bother me.
Really?
Didn't bother me.
You have not been in a choir before.
I was more just wondering why we were starting our desert story on a Pirates of the Caribbean set.
Yeah, that was a little...
I really don't feel like that framing device was necessary.
No.
And it just kind of spoiled the fact that Genie was going to have a strange romantic arc.
So, did you like Will Smith in this movie? You did! Oh my goodness! You did?
I enjoyed it immensely.
Like, on a sarcastic level? Or like...
It was half sarcastic and half sincere. Okay, let me talk about Will Smith. The design is stupid, but I didn't care. Because I realized that this movie has the tone of something that should be on the Disney Channel, just direct to the Disney Channel. And as soon as I started to view it through that lens, the movie became better because I had completely lowered my expectations. And I was completely able to divorce this movie from the legacy of the original and just accept it as pure camp. He did his own Genie, and that made it okay.
Yes, but he wasn't doing Robin Williams, but he also wasn't doing the Genie. They strategically removed all of the Robin Williams ad-libby stuff, which was smart. But the problem is, the Genie without Robin Williams is an average character. And they replaced all of Robin Williams' comic gold lines with Will Smith saying something as Will Smith.
Exactly, he was Will Smith.
He was being Will Smith, who shouldn't be in this movie.
But who's to say that he shouldn't be?
Comedy! I thought the beginning, if we go in chronological order here, I thought the beginning was the weakest part. Like, the first third was the weakest part of the movie.
I think the middle was actually decent.
Yes. The beginning, I thought the dialogue at the start was horribly written.
It felt like I was watching a school play.
It was, like, the entire thing, like, everything Aladdin and Jasmine talked about was the most cliche stuff you could ever have.
When it's a cartoon that's a fairy tale, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's real people and trying to ride the line of becoming more serious and realistic, that cliche dialogue sounds strange.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of moments that I thought, turns out this only works in a cartoon.
A lot of the choices that are made because they have to keep it true to the cartoon make the tone very strange.
Yes.
Like the fact that Abu exists would not be the case if this was a movie with the same plot that was being made live action.
Yes.
Or the fact that they had to, we had to completely change Iago not to be just like this sentient bird person. I was really wondering what they'd do with Iago because...
Yeah, he wasn't running around making sarcastic quips.
One of the first things that comes up when you Google a question relating to Aladdin is who plays Iago in the new Aladdin movie? Like, who plays Iago? Iago is so iconic as Gilbert Gottfried's voice, who's going to play him? And it really doesn't matter because he's just a parrot voice.
Yeah.
He can't be a snarky, quippy little parrot person.
No, there isn't the thing where, like, Iago is holding the pole, pushing it around on a treadmill to power stuff.
And that makes you realize where the fun parts of Jafar come from.
Yes.
Because Disney villains, you love to hate them, you love how mean they are, but you can only see the fun part of them being mean when they're interacting with their sidekicks. Like Scar and the hyenas, that's where like the comedy involving Scar comes in, where we can kind of undercut the seriousness of this while still having him be a threatening presence because he's being mean to his underlings.
I mean,
but we can't have those moments when Iago is just a parrot.
Yeah, what good Disney villain does not have a sidekick?
Oh.
Cruella de Vil has a sidekick.
Everyone does.
Ursula, Scar, they all do.
And it brings out like the fun part of them.
Exactly.
So that they aren't just completely flat.
No, Jafar's thing is just that he's like brooding, he's mean, he's almost monotone.
Yeah. And the only parts in the original film where we get any comedy involving him is when his seriousness is bouncing off of Iago's snarkiness, and they have some fun back and forth, where Iago's providing the comedy, but it works together to make you like Jafar more because he's involved in that. Jafar wasn't doing the deep Disney villain voice. He was kind of more like
this kind of. He was definitely a tenor.
Yeah, he didn't have the classic bass deep Disney villain voice. They could have played him the same as the original, and it would have been fine. But they went with a different kind of take that I don't really feel like it paid off in any way.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that made this movie weird to me was that when you're making a remake like this, you have to decide, are we going to go for like the shot for shot, we're making the same thing, or do we want to change some storylines up, do things differently? And I feel like what Aladdin tried to do was make the shot for shot remake while changing the characters.
Updating the characters, they would probably say.
There was one moment that has stuck with me from this movie. They're having like this party to celebrate him showing up.
Yes.
And
my favorite part of the movie.
And
I'll get back to that.
It starts with then Aladdin and Jasmine are talking, and he's being really weird, and for some reason, all of a sudden, she asks him to dance, which didn't make any sense to me, but that's irrelevant. And so then the thing is like, oh no, Aladdin doesn't know how to dance, what's he gonna do? He starts out embarrassing himself, and then you see Will Smith in the corner, like, moving hands around, and Aladdin starts doing the dance correct. And I'm like, this is a good moment. You have Aladdin not being able to do something, and then the genie comes in, and he helps him do it. And then all of a sudden, Aladdin starts breakdancing. And the genie is making like do flips and it's like I'm just like, what is going? Why is he dancing to rap music?
Now that we're back to that dance scene, let me tell you why I liked Will Smith Genie. I very much enjoyed the dynamic of Aladdin is inexperienced and nervous about having to pretend to be a prince. And Will Smith is like his cool, hip, slightly gayish uncle who's trying to teach him how to be cool at parties.
Please don't tell me that you enjoyed the genie's love arc.
We'll get back to that later, but I just during that party scene, I was having so much fun because I was imagining that this is probably exactly what Will Smith is like to his own children at big Hollywood events. That's all I could think about. Like, the kids are just kind of standing around and Will Smith is like, go, mingle with the people. And they're like, I don't want to talk to people. And he's like, but I'm friends with everybody. Hey, I'm going to break dance now. And they're like, no, Dad, stop. I don't know what the line was exactly, but encapsulating what I appreciated about Will Smith Genie, it was Aladdin says, oh, but I've never been to a party before. And Will Smith Genie says, well, I should have left you at home. You ain't ruining my night. I was like, yes. Yes.
Well,
This is an episode of New Girl meets the Disney Channel meets Aladdin.
I remember that line too, and other lines similar to it, which really irritated me because unlike the normal genie, from what I could tell, the Will Smith genie had two goals. One of which was to help Aladdin, and the other one was to get laid.
The genie had a baffling romantic arc that came out of left field, and as soon as it started, I was like, what?
Okay, so I can explain this, I guess. Jasmine has this handmaiden, and Will Smith falls for the handmaiden, and the handmaiden also likes him.
For reasons that are unclear.
They both think that they're attractive, and is Will Smith attractive? I can't tell.
Ask Mom.
Hey Mom, is Will Smith attractive, like 40-year-old Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yes, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
There we go.
Okay, so I guess that's the logic then.
then we have a subplot where the genie is pursuing Jasmine's handmaiden. And
Yep.
it
made no sense.
well,
it was
the reason it
unnecessary.
existed was to give the handmaiden had some funny quips.
She did? Oh, I don't remember.
She was like an airhead, and she had headlines
Oh.
that made the audience laugh. There are a lot of strange subplots that get added so that this movie can be 2 hours and 10 minutes long, which it does not need to be.
No, it needs to be like 87.
The original is 90 minutes,
Oh wow, I nailed that.
and that is the perfect length for a
Mm-hmm.
fantasy fairy tale movie for kids, and for me, because I have a short attention span. And I knew going into this, when I looked up how long it was, that we were going to be in trouble. I'm like,
and it felt its length.
about halfway through, I was like, I'm ready for this to be over.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we haven't used up the second wish yet. But Jasmine has this whole subplot about how the reason she's in the village is because she wants to better learn how to provide for her people, and she has ruler aspirations because
Yeah.
she's a strong, independent female.
I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on like the Jasmine feminist point, because I thought that was very heavy-handed.
It's heavy-handed, but also it will be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, because I don't know how many times she talks this like, oh, I will not be silenced or whatever.
Her song, Jasmine's song, the sound of it is something off the Greatest Showman soundtrack, and the look
Yes.
of it on the movie is when Demi Lovato sings Let It Go.
Yes.
It's very, like, poppy and doesn't really fit into... She's performing it like a pop star, not like a character in a Disney movie. Because there's nothing going on. The best part about these Disney things is that, like, there's interesting visuals happening that also help drive the story forward. Like the Street Rat Runaway song, I don't know the name of, or the Never Had a Friend Like Me song.
Mondstadt, I think.
But Jasmine's songs are just her kind of wandering around a room
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have... What else is she gonna do? The characters are expanded upon, and except for the Sultan and Jafar
And Aladdin.
and
Will Smith.
no, he has a girlfriend.
I guess the film is Aladdin.
It's funny because I just remembered in the animated one, the genie wants to become human so that he can travel the world
Mhm.
and wear a goofy hat.
As opposed to Will Smith Genie, who wants to be a human so he can be tied
So that
down
he can
with a
immediately
family.
settle down on a boat with his family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the boat at the beginning was Will Smith and his, like, new wife and
Yeah.
children.
Yeah. I don't care about that.
No one did.
There was a character who, at the climax of the film, I realized that we were in the middle of his arc, and I just realized that he was a character who had a name and lines.
Oh, was it, like, the guard guy?
His name was, like, Hakim or
Yeah,
something?
Hakim.
And I was like, wait, Hakim is in this movie? Who is Hakim? And we were talking about, all the characters were talking about Hakim, like, he was this character whose journey we were all invested in. And I was like,
Yeah, we just learned his name.
was he in the other scenes? And apparently he was.
He was.
He was one of Jafar's guards, and I guess I was talking
No,
every time he spoke previously.
Yeah, the only reason I paid attention to this movie was that I'm a respectful theater goer. And, so I can explain Hakim, I think, fairly well.
I want to talk about Hakim.
So Hakim is, like, the head of the guard for the Sultan. And then Jafar, spoilers. We already
We
spoiled
know
this
how
all.
it goes.
Yeah, this movie's been spoiled since
Spoilers
1996.
for Hakim.
Specifically.
When Hakim's picture
Yeah, 'cause-
disappears from the screen,
Because all
you'll
this...
know that it's okay to keep watching.
Because, like, you don't know what Hakim's gonna do. Like,
I want
watching
a
the movie. You're on the edge of
Hakim
your seat.
Funko Pop.
Okay, but Hakim is the Sultan's guard, and Jafar becomes the Sultan.
Yes.
And then it's like, Hakim, you're my loyal friend. Stay with me. Don't join Jafar just because he's the Sultan. No, I'm the true Sultan. And it's like, what will Hakim do?
Yeah.
And then, what does Hakim? I feel like Hakim chooses Jafar.
He chooses Jafar the
Yes.
first time. because Jafar is the Sultan now and he's a good soldier.
And then, is that when Jasmine's little reprise happens?
Yeah,
It's been, full disclosure, I haven't seen this movie in a couple weeks.
And then Jasmine starts talking to Hakim, and she's like, Hakim, when you were an orphaned boy, you joined my father's squadron of soldiers. You were his greatest soldier. Hakim, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. And then Hakim chooses the Sultan.
Oh, he does?
I think.
And then does Hakim get, like, gruesomely murdered by Jafar or something? What does Jafar do?
I think Hakim gets, like, dissolved.
Yeah.
I saw this movie less than 24 hours ago.
So Hakim
dies?
I forgot all about Hakim.
So did I. Before I even knew him.
So will the world. See, that's an example of we probably wasted 5 minutes of my life on Hakim in the movie.
Yeah. It was just baffling to be at the climax of a character's arc at the same time that I realized he was a character.
Basically the climax of the movie, too.
Yeah.
The movie is climaxing. We took a 5-minute break to talk about a character no one knew.
So much time of my life has been spent learning of Hakim's existence and then trying to remember what happened to Hakim.
Yeah, it's not like Hakim joins their team and like changes the tide. Hakim joins their team and is immediately killed.
Hakim is just a meager attempt to give a face to the soldiers of the palace. The Sultan was expanded upon zero. They made an interesting choice with the Sultan where they were definitely trying to actively combat the stereotype of the bumbling midget Disney dads, which they started with in the Beauty and the Beast remake. What's his name?
Maurice.
Maurice is no longer
Fake
a
fan.
bumbling idiot. He's like a talented inventor.
Yeah.
And now the Sultan is no longer an easily manipulated fool. He's just like a decent leader. But they didn't give him any new personality traits.
So
I
he's just
mean,
nothing.
so instead of being a fun bumbling idiot with a funny beard, instead he's just nothing.
Yeah.
And Jafar, instead of being a very evil man who has a fun rapport with his parrot, is also nothing. I didn't care about Jafar at all in this movie.
No, not at all.
I have no idea what his deal was.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they tried to give him a backstory where they're like, I was a thief too once.
Oh yeah, they did.
And
Clearly didn't stick. Another thing I realized works way better in cartoon than in live action was the magic carpet.
the magic carpet didn't have a big presence in this movie.
No.
They were trying to sweep it under the rug, per se.
How do you feel about these Disney remakes in general?
Negatively.
Negatively?
I don't know. I enjoyed myself. I basically just enjoyed the Will Smith tries to teach Aladdin to be cool plot.
Yeah. One thought I had during this movie was how much better this could be if Robin Williams hadn't killed himself. Which made me so sad. Why isn't this movie working? Because Robin Williams is dead and we have to have Will Smith!
But also, we already have Robin Williams as the genie. We can just go back and watch that one. No one's gonna go back and rewatch this movie. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know. I'm not. This is the only time I'll ever see it. And I was never planning on seeing it. I would have gone through my whole life never seeing the Aladdin remake. What a tragedy that would have been. I never would have known about Hakim! I would have gone my whole life never knowing that Hakim was an orphaned boy taken in by the Sultan to become not only a good soldier, but the best soldier. I don't know who plays him, or even what his face really looks like. But I'm told that he's important.
And even though he may have died for loyalty, I know he'll live on forever in my heart.
And mine. And you know what live action Disney remake I think they should make?
What?
Meet the Robinsons. It'd be so horrifying.
The literally the day after you were telling me you were going to make me watch Meet the Robinsons, it came up when I was with my friends.
It came up?
Meet the Robinsons did.
What did your friends have to say about that?
They like it.
Your friends are fools.
Yes.
Or
maybe I'm just not used to horror film.
I like Wilbur.
Who am I allowed to like that? I just like the movie.